The Synthstrom Deluge has always been an iconoclastic device. Since its release in February 2016, it represented a feature set and workflow that was as powerful as it was unique. From synthesis to sampling, time stretching, slicing, effects, looping, and a workflow geared towards performance as much as songwriting, it came out of the gate swinging at the established paradigm of what a portable electronic music device could be. Yeah, it runs on batteries too. It's gotten a few major updates since then, including its most recent, an OLED screen instead of the old 7-segment display. It's gotten wavetable synthesis, an arranger mode, Euclidean pattern generation, and much more, all thanks to the small but dedicated team at Synthstrom. I've used the Deluge in so many different situations, from writing full songs to writing and performing full sets. I've used it completely standalone, as a sequencer for modular gear, and as part of various hybrid setups. It's a piece of gear that I believe in. And that's why I'm so happy today to be able to talk to you about the very first public release of a new lease on the Deluge's life, a community firmware with a ton of new features. Open sourcing the firmware has always been part of the plan with the Deluge, but Synthstrom wanted to build a reliable product and a community around it first. Since the open source project was announced, a collection of volunteers started writing features for the Deluge that it had never seen before. Everything from quality of life adjustments to brand new effects and ways of interacting with the device. They've even managed to keep the firmware working on both the original 7-segment display version and the newer OLED version. What the community has done with this open source firmware is truly a triumph, and I hope to get you excited about it too. My name is Jeremy, this is Red Beans Recording, and let's get into it.
Get your fucking hands up.
First up is a new stereo chorus. The device already had a bunch of mod effects in here, but now we have a true stereo chorus. There it is. You can access this by going into Shift Mod Effects and selecting the new chorus, and then it has offset, dry wet, feedback, and rate. Oh, that's cool. That's unexpected. That's awesome. It's going to sound good on a synth bass, but we're going to try it out on some other stuff too. How about a pad? Juno-y. Another new addition is a master compressor. So if you're in song mode, you hit Affect Entire Song and make sure the sidechain button is selected. The top knob in normal default mode will just be a one-knob compressor. You can also enter full mode by tapping the top gold button. Then by tapping the bottom gold button, you can go through attack, release, a high-pass filter shelf, and a ratio and a threshold. Really customize the compressor. This is a new velocity drum grid view. We'll talk a little bit more about it in a bit, but I just wanted to show you it right now because it's pretty damn cool for recording things that like hi-hats and stuff. All right, on to the next. We got a grain effect. This thing is very processor intensive, so by default, it is off in the settings. It's under mod effects type, but you won't be able to access it until you turn it on in the community firmware features in the settings. Let's turn it on. There it is. The parameters for this are the mod rate, which sets the grain rate, a mod depth, which controls the grain volume and dry wet mix, mod offset, which adjusts the grain size, and finally, mod feedback, which selects between one of 5 different grain type presets. I'll put those on screen right now so you can see them. So what's this going to sound like on drums? Yeah, let's find out. Here's a little lead line that we're going to apply the grain effect to and mess around a little bit. Keep in mind, because the grain effect is so processor intensive, you really only want to try to run one at once and resample what you do if you need to run it again on another instrument. Next up is a new wavefolder distortion. You can find this hiding between these two marked buttons right here. Turn it up. Interestingly, if you apply some form of modulation to the wavefolder thing, you can go further with it. Sounds pretty good. We also got new LFO shapes. Turn up this LFO. Right now, this is the old sine shape. We got a new sample and hold. And we also got this random walk. A small but nice quality of life adjustment is sticky shift. You use shift to do a lot of things on the faceplate of the Deluge. So having it stick there now means that you can just kind of go around and do what you need to do without having to hold it down. This can be very useful. We got two new state variable filters. A state variable filter bandpass is what you're listening to right now, and a state variable notch. With these, the morph control morphs from a low-pass filter all the way on the left to bandpass or notch in the middle, and then high pass over on the right. Here's the notch filter. We now have the ability to spread the unison detune in the stereo field. So let me turn up a number of unisons here and the detune. Then we'll go into the synth settings, into voice. Find the unison setting. There we go. Hell yeah. Hey, we got some new keyboard layouts. Press the keyboard button here and you're going to see the isomorphic keyboard layout. But if I hold the keyboard button and turn the knob, I will switch to in key. Every note that you see on here is in key. It's pretty great for playing. If I hold the scale button and turn the select knob, I will be able to change the root note. This is so much better than before. If I hold the scale button and press the select button, I can change the scale. This is very convenient to be able to do in keyboard mode. Holding the shift button and turning the horizontal selector lets me change the row step amount. The default is 16. This offers you different sort of layouts for the in key. Let's talk about the drum velocity grid keyboard. This is awesome. In kit mode, while looking at a clip, if I press the keyboard, I now have these little zones. Each color represents a sample, and within that little colored zone represents 16 velocities. So now I can create much more expressive performances with my drums. It's really, really nice. This is one of my absolute favorite things about the new firmware. Another cool feature is the kit sample randomizer. So all these audition pads over on the right represent my drum samples that I have as part of this kit. If I hold an audition pad, which is all the way on the right there, and press the randomize button, I will be able to randomize the sample from a folder of samples that sample is in. And you can have up to 25 in each folder. So let's give it a try. I'm gonna hold these down and hit randomize. That's pretty damn cool. You can also use this on kits that use melodic samples. So create folders with up to 25 sort of related melodic or effect type sounds and randomize them to see what happens to your kit. It could be fun. We also now have the ability to humanize and quantize per row. So by holding down some audition pads, I can turn the tempo knob to the right for quantize and to the left for humanize. And you can see on the grid how they are moving around. You can humanize the heck out of a pattern to your heart's content. Give it a little bit of flim-flam. Real nice. Song mode in the Deluge is how you launch clips and perform your song. These rows right here on the right represent different clips. And as you can see, I press them and now they're going to turn off when the loop comes around. This is traditionally how we have made songs. And the yellow color over there represents the group that they're in. So if I press any of those yellow pads, it'll launch all the yellow clips, just like that. This is great and all, but you kind of start to run into a bit of a problem when you have a bunch of song sections. It all becomes a horizontal scrolling nightmare. So we can enter new grid mode for songs by, in this mode, holding the song button and turning the select knob. There we go. So those colored ones on the left, those colored lights on the left, represent the clips that we were just working with. We have green mode for launching and muting clips. And then we have blue mode for editing clips. So in blue mode, you'll hit the clip and you will go into edit it. I can make a new clip like this, launch it, and then go into that clip and edit it. That's some extra hi-hats. There we go. I like this way of working quite a bit. All right, let me talk to you about the new fill probability setting. Electron has had this for a while, but now it's on the Deluge. It's a setting for triggers or for notes, like this snare right here, and I'm going to do it by row, which is a new thing too. By holding the audition pad for that row and turning the select knob all the way to the left, I will get fill. Now, by pressing a specific button on the Deluge, in this case, I have set it to sync scaling. There's another setting for it too, but in this case, it's going to use sync scaling. It will play those notes in, all of those. Those are all part of the fill condition. So let's play and see what it does. This is incredibly useful. You're seeing this only on one clip right now, but you can have this across multiple clips in your song. Speaking of probability per row, I'm going to set this up to have a full 16th note for every single one of these terrible percussion sounds, all 8 of them. And now I'm going to go through row by holding the audition pad and set the probability to 50% for each row. and then we'll get a sort of generative percussion soup. It's just very, very handy to do it per row. Yeah. This is also useful for things like arpeggios, because you can set up a series of arpeggios with all these notes, like have more notes than you actually expect to play, set the probability to like 50% for each row, and every single time it comes around to that, you're going to get a sort of new arpeggio based on which notes actually decided to trigger. Generative arpeggios are one of my favorite things. Okay, this is a big one. This is called Automation View, and it's a way for us to be able to use the pads on the Deluge to draw automation in. I'm going to go into a clip, like I am right now, hit the clip button, and now we see all of the parameters that we could automate. I'm going to choose, I think, wavetable, and we'll start drawing over there on the left. Click it, click it, click it, click. All right, so here we go. I'm super zoomed out right now, so the resolution isn't really that great, but we can zoom in and draw even more complex modulation. You can hear it working already. If I want to automate something else, I can hold down Shift and select a different parameter, in this case, filter. And finally, here is delay amount, which is a really fun one. You can also do like delay rate and change the reverb settings on the fly as well. We're going to do this to this sort of pad sound. Same controls, just give it a little bit more life over the course of its clip. There's also a new modulation matrix, which is incredibly helpful. If you get down to the bottom of the synth settings, you will find a mod matrix setting, and it will show you all the things connected to modulate that synth, where you can adjust all of the values on the fly. This is fantastic. You can also now load a synth into a kit. Before it was just samples, but now if I make a new kit, I can sort of back out of the sample selection thing here. If I hold down the audition pad and I press synth, I can now go through all the synth presets I have on the Deluge and pick something to put in there. Let's add some more. You can use the transposition, all the synth editing tools that you would. So if something's not quite at the right pitch or you don't like its timbre, you can edit it and get it to go. And the Velocity keyboard works with them because they're in a kit, which is super cool. It's time to link a bunch of parameters to Velocity, right? We also have a new slice mode. It's called Lazy Slice. So I'm going to make a new kit, find a sample I want to slice, and hold Shift and press the select to send it to the slicer. Then I'm going to go and I'm going to turn the horizontal selection knob up on the upper left with the left and right arrows and go into Lazy Slice. That little green button on the bottom represents playing a slice. And as it plays, I can press other buttons in that area and I will be able to create slices on the fly. I'm not a huge fan of this, so let's go ahead and pick a different sample to do it with real quick. One cool thing about this is because it is a kit, you can then use the velocity pads to play it back with velocity sensitivity, which is super, super cool. We also have do LFO timings, including triplets, dotted. This is huge. So you can add some triplet action, or you can add some dotted quarters, dotted eighths, stuff like that to your modulation now. So there's a few things I wasn't able to demo here for one reason or another, but here is a quick list of some other interesting things. You can now batch delete kit rows, which do not contain any notes, freeing kits from unused sounds. The gold encoders now display a pop-up of their current value when adjusted. Holding the status pad, which is the mute pad for a clip, and pressing select brings up a clip type selection menu, where you can change the clip from default to fill. You can now scroll through parameter values and menus faster by +- 5 by holding shift while sorting the select encoder. You can now shift a clip's row color from song view without having to enter the given clip to do so. The stutter effect can be quantized to a variety of regular note values. There are new modes for the MIDI takeover stuff like jump, pickup, and scale. And finally, there has been some revisions and updates to the way the Deluge handles MPE. Yeah, that too. I am sure there's something I have missed besides all those things that I just told you. So please do follow the links in the description to 1, get the firmware, 2, read about the firmware, and 3, maybe join the collaboration. This is all happening via GitHub, and the discussion is happening via the Deluge Discord. So if you're interested, you can be a part of this too. Thank you to Synthstrom for creating the Deluge and continually updating it over all of this time, almost a decade at this point. Thank you to everybody that contributed to this firmware, beta tested, all of that. It takes a village to make something like this happen, and your work is incredibly impressive. I hope this has been an interesting video for all of you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like the video, give it a like. If you want to see more, do a subscribe. And if you want to support the channel, we got a Patreon. You know how it goes. My name is Jeremy. This is Red Means Recording. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.